All right, in this video, we are going to be looking at the imaginary unit. All right, we're going to define the square root of -1 as one imaginary unit. All right, so that means if I had a number like, let's just say, square root of -4, then I could define this as square root of 4 times -1. All right, well, the square root of 4 is plus or minus 2. The square root of -1 is I. So we have positive or negative 2i. Okay, well, let's try another one. What if I were to take the square root of, let's just say, -12? Okay, I could define this as square root of 12 times -1, which I could also rewrite this as even further, as 12 is 4 times 3 times -1. Well, 4 is a perfect square, so we're going to have plus or minus. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of -1 is I, and 3 is not a perfect square, so it stays inside the radical. So you notice I write the 2i up front. Now, some textbooks would write it like this: plus or minus 2 radical 3 with an I on the end, which is correct? Both. Okay. Now, if we were to write a complex number, these are actually in the form of a real number part and an imaginary part. So in our textbook, they call this A plus B times I. So, for example, another way of writing a complex number would be 7 plus 3 times I. That means this part is the imaginary part and this is the real part. So complex numbers have both real and imaginary. So real part, imaginary part. So real, then you'd say plus or a minus, and then an imaginary part. So another example of a complex number would be something like 5 minus 7i. Okay? Real part, imaginary part. And so there is our imaginary unit and an introduction to complex numbers.